Hello, everybody. My name is Bennett Christopher, and today we will be talking about the importance of minimizing family violence. To begin with, what is family violence? Family violence is an umbrella term for any kind of violence committed by a family member on another family member. This can include physical, verbal, sexual, neglect, financial, or mental abuse. And it's important to remember that abuse can happen to an elder, a child, or a partner. First, we'll talk about elder abuse. Elder abuse are very often, victims of family abuse. As with other kinds of assaults, elder assault is usually committed by acquaintances or relatives. Elder abuse receives little attention in our society. That's because a lot of elders are hidden from society, whether that's in the family's home, in their own retirement home, and they're usually invisible to the public institutions and law enforcement. It is also important to know that many elders are not able to access the internet or don't know how. And many of them might not have cell phones, so they're not able to just call it in and report it. It is also important to remember that elder abuse is very susceptible to financial abuse. When they move in with family members, it's very common for their daughters or sons to take advantage of their finances. And in many situations, especially with, say, dementia, elders are not even able to access their their money. Next, I want to talk about child abuse. Child abuse is the most unreported out of all the abuse when it comes to family abuse. That is because child abuse is often kept a family secret because their non-abusive parent refuses to admit the problem, and children don't usually report crimes. They, in some cases, might not even know that they're being abused. They might see it as normal, which is very sad. All forms of child abuse increase the likelihood of low self-esteem, anxiety, addiction issues, or mental health issues. It can lead to depression and antisocial tendencies. It's very sad. Causes of child abuse. There's several main factors contributing to child abuse, but the most would be substance abuse. That's 40 to 80% of cases. Family stress and poverty, a history of violence, potentially the presence of a step-parent, or isolation from a community. Now we get to partner abuse. Spousal violence against women is most common when the wife has a job and the husband does not, which I found very interesting. Women more often use violence against their spouse when they're feeling in danger, so one might say that's defensive abuse, or just protection. Partner violence may just be as prevalent in gay and lesbian communities. There was a study that said it is more common in lesbian relationships than gay relationships, but it does happen in all forms of relationships. That's important to know. The consequences of being abused are extremely high. This is very sad. Social and psychologically, children exposed to violence in the home are more likely to display physical aggression, emotional disorders, hyperactivity, and delinquency. There's also a very high chance of them just growing up and abusing their own children. Mental health victims of crimes are more likely to suffer from PTSD, major depressive episodes, depression, anxiety, various phobias. And then physical health. There's long-term lingering effects of physical violence, including physical injuries, unwanted pregnancies, STDs, and disfigurements. That's very popular, especially when it comes to physical abuse and sexual abuse. Verbal abuse, there's not usually any physical health problems. It's usually the mental and the social. And then theories on why people are abusive. Violent people interpret the situations in which they are violent as required violence. So if a parent is abusive to their kid, they might see it as, oh, well, I'm teaching them a lesson. But in many cases, they're not teaching them anything other than to be afraid of them and that violence is okay, which it is not. Those who view themselves as non-violent interpret their violence as defensive. So like I said, women usually, when they are being abusive, it's defensive abuse or just defense from their husband's abuse. And then children who are abused are more likely to be violent, like I said, when they grow up, especially if they're males. So ways to improve. In Canada, we have public access to sexual deviance records, so pedophiles, stuff like that. We have the access to look that up. We should also be allowed to search anyone's name to see if they have any violence in their past. This would help a lot with spousal abuse. Before you get in a relationship with someone, you'd be able to look up their name, make sure that they have no history of abuse, whether that's to their partners or maybe even their kids. Reporting abuse from loved ones is hard. However, it is necessary. We need to hold them accountable, and they need to face the consequences of their actions. And then the final way to improve is family services. They need more help, they need more money, and in general, they need to be better at seeing the clues of family abuse. And then I want to end this on a positive note because, it is a very serious topic, and I want to finish this presentation with a little bit of positive outlook for the future. People are more aware now than ever of victims and victimization, especially generations ago. And that goes the same as the rate of spousal violence has generally been declining since the mid-1970s, which is a positive. We're nowhere near where we need to be, but I think we'll get there someday. And then self-reported spousal violence has decreased from 7% in 2004 to 4% in 2014. So that could be good. That could mean that there's less violence to report, or that could mean that we're not as good at reporting the actual violence. So that's a good thing, and it could be a bad thing. So I hope you enjoyed my presentation on family violence, and I hope you can learn and teach the people around you. Thank you.